Good evening, everybody. This is Mia. I have this is a check-in. This is a check-in video. The sun's setting. I spent all day inside rummaging through my recycled or stuff that needed to be recycled, stuff that needed to be thrown away. I haven't found that credit card, and actually don't even really remember receiving that credit card. I definitely received a letter, which I found, that said we're getting a new credit card or something, or we're phasing out the old one that's not expired, which happened to me with Care Credit, and some other places. Just a lot of weird stuff, and I'm like, I'm not going to use these cards because I'm not going to go into credit and forget to pay the bills and all this stuff, and then I didn't even activate the card and they already charged it, and I'm like, that sucks because I didn't even activate the card and charged me. Should have sent me a bill for the membership fees for BJ's. $55 is too much. I don't like it. Oh, I mean, it's not worth it anymore. It's, let's see, toothpaste, toothbrush stuff, a couple of medications. Not like, I don't even think we bought vitamins. I think I had bought that stuff, the saline stuff for my nose. What else? A little bit of fruits and vegetables. And we used to get, one reason we kept the membership for BJ's because they used to sell Crystal Geyser. And we bought a bunch one day, like maybe all of it. I think we filled our cart with it, and when we came back, we never saw it again. And then everyone was saying their chickens are good, which I don't eat. I drink the water. Every time, more than half of the time that we had the chicken, or went to go get the chicken from my partner, it was not available at this time, 6-something dinner time. It's not available. They already had shut down and cleaned up, and they didn't have any more in the warmer or anything. The Fred Meyer store. So we're not a food, but they usually have that chicken place at least at one of the Fred Meyers. They used to. I don't think they have it anymore. But they used to at least have some sort of deli. Because everyone has some kind of deli food from the fresh cooked, What is this? So I made a video earlier, and I said in my calendar when I wanted to check it that I have a Neurology Medscape Live. That was today. And usually for Medscape, I go through my Yahoo account, and I went back and checked my emails at 6:15 at night, and I found it in promotions, I think, in Gmail. And so usually I use the same email address, so I have two work ones. I think it's promotions, which there's a lot of ads, and there's all those ads that's literally a commercial, it's not even junk mail, I sign up or I get something from Wayfair once or something, and then all of a sudden you get emails all day. So I can't even tell. Yeah, promotion, social, and then there was another email under promotions that was the New York Association of Naturopathic Physicians, and that upset me because there was another course today which I might have actually missed. So some things are definitely mass emails of promotional things, but it's unfortunate that the things I signed up for went to my promotion box instead of the main box, and so at my Yahoo everything goes to the same box except a bunch of stuff gets spammed, so I had to go through every day and unspam them. I missed jobs because of that, because people got the work done from somewhere else, and for my phone or the Yahoo spam, I can click on it and see nothing, or not see anything since this morning, and then it won't be maybe tomorrow, the next day, I'll see something else that was from 2 days prior. Oh no, that was hiding in there. just so many different things. So I didn't decide to go fishing this evening. I actually didn't decide one way or another. I was going to decide at between 5:30 and 6:30, but my partner went. And so I just checked my mail, and I should be careful, I had to wash my hands again. There was some controllers in the storage unit, and that was PS2 and 3, he said, and I accidentally dropped one of them, which I feel really bad because I'm like was holding all these wires and stuff, and then I needed to get the key out of my purse to unlock the door, and I dropped it. And I feel like stupid because I didn't want to put it in one of those big giant zipper bags. I should have just stuck it in the big giant zipper bag. Like, this fruit fly is trying to get my drink. This is so annoying. I gotta put up, you'll see like a fly strip here. So I have admin work and other work and stuff to catch up with my patients that I've already seen, already established. So I have that pretty much for the rest of the year. I did a lot of decluttering, but it doesn't even seem like it made a dent. I cleaned up a little bit here, excuse me. So excuse me before I did that. And I had the Just Dance 2 songs. I think I only went through 2 songs because we had an appointment. And then I wanted to make some pasta sauce raw with sun-dried tomatoes and regular tomatoes. And then I was going to put mushroom in the dehydrator, and they were from Acme, and they're super sticky. And that was really disappointing. I wonder where the receipt is. I think it kept falling out of my... I feel like it kept falling out of my car. Like, I had this bag. I always hope there's nothing else in here, like food. So I threw away or recycled one of my, this thing I found on the ground that I sanitized. It was just a box that was using for fishing stuff. And it keeps coming open. So be careful, you set it on the shelf. I was like, I should keep that and set it on the shelf. But my mind's telling me right now, you're going to grab something to go, or someone else is going to grab it, or you're going to move, or everything's going to fall. It's happened more than once, and other people aren't saying, oh no, there's a fruit fly in my drink, I have to throw it out. Everyone is saying, like, that's disgusting. I think it's on my spoon, guys. This is so gross. Everybody is like not gonna remember, like, hey, be careful picking that up because it'll fall apart. And like when I fell down the stairs, and I told myself, don't wear your glasses going up and down the stairs. And one day I'm looking at something, so I'm reading something, and I see, put something on top. Speaking of something, put something on top of this. I see myself missing the 3 steps and saying no, and then screaming. So I look pretty angry today, and I'm frustrated that I think it was to the apartment and to the P.O. box. I'm like, I can't blame someone else for me not getting credit cards in the mail. I had to order some other ones, and I've been looking everywhere, and I have yet to find those. And that's really frustrating, guys, because it's like I had like a coupon from one of the healthcare providers, and I didn't even open the card, and who knows what it could have been inside. And that is, I thought I put it on the shelf, and I've been going through the shelf, and so I'm really, really overwhelmed, and I am realizing that here's why I want to do my counseling. I don't want them to say, like, icebreaker. How's your week? How's your day? How's your dog? Whatever. Like, how's the weather where you are? Like, that's one thing. But to go and have somebody want to ask, how's your job? This and this and when I start counseling, I have goals, and I wanted to bring those out. I need to say my goals. My job can sound chaotic, but I know that I'm a failure in life and a non-successful person because of my past, because of PTSD that makes it difficult, because of undertreated diseases. You know, I had these horrible backaches, and I didn't have this type of backache until the car accident, just like the knee pain. And I feel like I was susceptible because of the spinal tap. I have the degenerative joint disease, and I saw in my folder that I had a folder of records from the military base, Fort Smith Air Force Base, that had scoliosis. And nobody treated me for scoliosis. And I have feet that go in, just all this crazy thing. My knee didn't hurt like this, but it was susceptible. I got jumped during gym class by a bunch of little kids while I was in first grade, and it bent my knee. Instead of like bending like this, it bent it like that, and I was literally having like nightmares. So if I talk to my counselor, I'm not trying to pull up and dig up a bunch of old stuff, but let's see. I gotta text somebody. I want to say this thing from my past is affecting my present, which is ultimately affecting my future. And if I can nip this in the bud now, like, if you want to say you're gonna start taking walks every day, now is not like no better time than now, right? And there's always tomorrow, but then there's not. So when it pertains to my personal life and my family and my mood, I feel like everything, that dark cloud that's over me that people don't like, is because I haven't figured out how to get somewhere where I am believing in myself, because I've been told, no, you can't, my whole life. My parents wanted me to remain very thin, and as you could see, I'm fat. I had eating disorders, and I didn't realize until I was an adult that it was a lot of the comments to say you're big enough, or you're starting to look like your grandma, or you don't need any snacks. I was so hungry. You think of kids having little stomachs, and they're like think of first, second, third graders, and they're running around, they're playing outside, and they're doing gym class, and you have that music where you play that hot potato and you run around these huge music rooms and gyms and playground. Like, we had like acres playground, not just a tiny little thing with one swing for everyone to share. It was like a lot of running. When I got home, I couldn't eat. Sometimes I could eat a tiny bit of fruit, and I would sit and eat white paper. I had a stack of paper, and I would tear it and chew it and eat it. I was so hungry, and it was painful. I couldn't get new clothes if I outgrew stuff. If I started puberty when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I hated how my legs and body was taking shape of a woman. One thing, it was just not me. I was a little child. You're still like, you can wear like 5T toddler size clothes when you're 5 and 6 years old, and 2T, 3T, 4T, 5T, and I had shoes that were too small. I've shared this before, and my mom refused for years to get me shoes. And kids are rough on shoes anyways. I had one pair of tennis shoes that I wore every day. I might have had a pair of dress shoes, but I don't even remember having dress shoes. I feel like I'm assuming that I had dress shoes, but we didn't dress up that much. And I had my feet in so much pain. I was begging my mom, please, can you get my shoes, please? And then she was complaining about my feet, and the doctor's like, this child needs to have more than one pair of shoes, and his feet are all messed up, and they were all like dirty and sweaty and gross, because he's like, your kid is sweating all the time, especially if I reach puberty at a young age. Your kid is sweating all the time. and your feet are gross, and your shoes, wearing the same shoes 7 days a week, they're not drying out. They're not drying out between, you should go to someone's house that has kids and they got little sandals and they got little cute little strap things and some loafers and some little tennis shoes and some cute boots and some rain boots. They'll have a little box, by the front door, and they'll be like, I want to go outside and wear my pink sandals today. And we walk the dog. It's like, it's fun. It's dressed up like a princess. And it's just that pain. I was being abused and hit every single day, multiple times a day. Like, not just, like, hitting a kid is bad enough, but beaten down and having shoes that didn't fit and being dragged to work with my mom and getting home at 3 in the morning and being asleep in the garage. I spent a lot of my childhood sleeping in the garage. Maybe not a lot, but a couple of years of 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. And she was driving this old, I was anorexic, bulimic. I didn't get into bulimia as much until I was older because I read about it, but I was either not wanting to eat or my parents didn't want me to eat. And I went, at least my mom, I went into my mom's old Mercedes that she bought. It didn't have a heater. And I'd been sick my whole life, always sick, always getting ear infections, always taking medicine. My whole childhood, I kept spending so much time in the military, in the emergency room, and saying, if something's wrong with you, you just take a drug. You take a drug and it numbs your mouth, it numbs your throat, it does this, it does that. It tastes like grape, it tastes like strawberry. And I ended up getting in my mom's car at, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, at least 5 days a week, if not 7. And so my dad was out of town, or I had to stay home. If he was home for the weekend, he started working out of town when he retired from the military. I had a Mercedes 1971, I think, with no heater. And I was underweight, and I was shivering, and I wasn't small. I've never been small. Like, I feel like if I was not eating that much, I'm really like a definition of large bone. But I ended up, because I remember going from like 60 pounds in 5th grade. They weighed us at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, and I was like 120 at the end of the year. Like, I doubled weight. And my friend was, maybe we were 70, like, she went from like 70 or 60 or whatever to like 65. It was like, mine like went so high, and I was devastated. I was like, oh my god. And my mom started buying me 17 magazines. I'm like, oh god. I used to read Better Homes and Gardens, and I never could get our house to be clean like that. I could have had too many magazines and catalogs. I really want to get rid of that, everything. And I don't like to say that because I like my junk, but I just can't. I'm thinking about stuff that's drawing me into this misery of my childhood. It's a comfort zone to wanting to blossom and bloom into Mia, who I'm supposed to be. So when I'm dealing with the past, it's because I know these areas are affecting my present. And when those areas are affecting me, I have like this class in the background. I was like, I hope they can't see me. Let's see. I don't think they can. I don't even know. I don't even know. They have another one at 7, but I just tried to register and I couldn't. How do I know? I keep looking I didn't look in the spam, actually. I don't see the registration for this New York one. So I'm not going to worry about it. It was about cultural competency, though, which is kind of making me feel sad, because that's a good class to support. Let's see. Let's try to register one more time. I might have to use a different device. So I had this Mercedes. My mom had this Mercedes, no heat. It was northern Michigan, the Lower Peninsula, the northern Michigan, or northern part of the Lower Peninsula, sorry. And that was I want to say the lowest I saw was about maybe -7 to -10. So it wasn't like Montana or Minnesota, but it was so just, I don't even know. I had to have had a blanket, but I'd fall asleep on this metal, I don't know, fake, thick leather military little 2-seater in my mom's office at the roller rink, and then she had to get me up. And we were eating out of the freezer, so we were eating the frozen pizza, microwavable pizzas and sodas. And I would take this is not a trigger warning. I need to put a trigger warning in the beginning, but this is a yum food warning, especially stay away if you have allergies. I would take the Reese's before they had those commercials, and I would pinch the inside, and I'd push my finger through, and I'd eat that part, and I'd slowly peel each piece of peanut butter covered in chocolate off of the rim, and then I'd eat the inside of the rim, try to keep it, because it's very delicate. It's probably more delicate now. And then I would slowly eat the milk chocolate with a little bit of peanut butter, and that saltiness. Oh, I don't even remember other candy, but I know I loved M&M's. There's something about, like, I don't do like this. You put a bunch of M&M's in your mouth at the same time, not like too much. Like, I'm almost like, I would torture myself. I'd open up a candy bar and sit there and I'd watch it and drool, and I'd see how long I could sit, and I wouldn't allow myself to eat it. And then when I'd eat it so slow. So I was always the last one at the table. I was given the smallest amount of food as a growing child. And by the time I wanted seconds or whatever, sometimes I got a little bit, like, be like a chicken thigh with a chicken, maybe I'd get a chicken wing or something. And I would end up not being able to eat anything with everybody else. My mom would have cleaned off the table, and I'm still eating because I'm savoring my food. And I had braces. Was it 3rd grade or 4th grade that I got the top? I think I got the bottom ones there. My teeth are all crooked now. But I think it was 4th grade. I feel like I had them for 10 years. Like, literally, like each 8, that would have been 3rd grade. Like, 8 or 9 till 17 or 8, almost 18. No, I just turned 17, I think. I think I was 16 when I got them. So I always thought it was 10 years because I was counting. But that can't be right because I didn't get them when I was 6. I had them in at least 8 or 9. The bottom ones, so I know I got the bottom ones really. Because I remember they said, finish the school year, the orthodontist, finish the school year and go back. We'll start next year and you'll have braces on the bottom. But I had the same teacher in 3rd and 4th grade, so I get confused. So I used to smile all the time with the braces, and the teachers are like, why are you always smiling? Most kids hide their braces. But I say this to you guys, I think it's because I was happy to be away from my family. So we had this cold car before, when she had the other Mercedes she kept in the garage, and I'd wake up and it would be the middle of the night, and it's like, that's hard on a kid, and you wake up in the back seat of your car every night in the garage, and it's like, God, there's like a furnace in there. It's probably not even safe to be in there. There's no ventilation. It was heated though. It had a radiator furnace, and it had the wall thingies, the copper plate with the white thing over it. And the whole time I was growing up, most of the time I remember saying, Mom. I didn't call my mom Mom. I called her Mommy. And then when my friend started calling her Mom, I didn't follow suit. And she'd look at me and she'd be like, Mom. So she graduated from saying Mommy. And I was embarrassed, and I just didn't call my mom anything for the rest of her life. Maybe I did a couple of times because I heard my brother call her by her first name. And which I thought was weird because his girlfriends, like, even his store and stuff, but his girlfriends, he'd say Mom in his store, he'd say, and his girlfriends would call her by her first name. In the 80s, that's kind of, I would be like, Mrs. your last name, like, dude. Especially since she's a teacher. Like, I don't know. People like 1/3 her age calling her by her first name, that's just weird to me. In the 80s, especially 90s, I don't like being called by my first name. I like to be referred to as Doctor most of the time, and it's very low. So I was going to make a 5-minute video. As you can see, it's more than 5 minutes. When I had this issue with my house, I've shared this before too. It was cold. I told my mother, whatever I called her, that my heater's not working, that my room is freezing cold. There's snow, there's heavy winds, there's the wind chill factor, there's ice on the windows, and I call it Jack Frost on the windows and ice. And decades later, my dad had some work done in the house and he had the plumbers and stuff, and he sent him into my old bedroom, and he calls me, or I talk to him, he says, you know what, you were talking about not having heat in your room as a kid, and as an adult, because I lived there as a kid, and up to 17, and then I left for the dorms, and then I came back when my son was born for about a year, and it was cold when we got there, but it wasn't that cold, and I had put myself in a position where he was able to tell me, you were right. The radiator heat in your room was turned off. The valve was turned off. My mom probably did torture me. So wherever that valve was not. And it's not like you had to pay more for hot water. Do you have hot water run through your entire room? You might turn it off because someone's too hot. You think of that old, I swear our dorms had old radiators in college. Did someone just call me? I'll read it out. I think I missed that webinar though. This is so sad. My phone is filling up. So without the PTSD, I have undiagnosed dyslexia. I have diagnosed PTSD, but I came with my partner also to get health care because I was refused for over 10 years mental health care in Oregon. I went to every agency. I called every agency. I didn't call the whole state, but I called the metro area down to Salem and other counties surrounding Portland, and they all denied us, me and my family. I was a student. It should have been included in the student tuition. They denied me. They denied me. And I went to the intakes, and they told me to my face that, no, we're not going to let you be a patient. We have more priority over other people we're saving space for. That's not you. And so I got counseling here, and then it turned into making it worse. At first, it was good to talk to somebody and to go through stuff, but the person didn't listen. So I could have been talking to your hedgehog or whatever. They didn't listen. That webinar is not working for me, guys, by the way. I'm going to put my glasses on. What is that? Something's spying on me. I think that's what it means. No, it's chess. I thought that was the symbol. I thought that symbol like this meant, what is that symbol when it's somebody is tracking your location or something like that? I thought it was a chess pawn thingy. Let's see if the New York naturopathic physicians, let's see if I can sign up, because I've pushed this button. It might be too late. I just did it like an hour prior to the event. It looks like it's going to be recorded. And it would do me good to watch it like after October. Yeah, I don't think it's letting me sign up. So, it's okay. I might be able to see it. They have a list of free CE, or at least I might have to be a member to watch it. So the cold house, the cold car, or the cold room, it was already cold. Everyone was wearing hats inside, and we had storm windows and thick curtains, like the double curtain. And my mom did get me an electric blanket, and it was so dry, and I had those like flannel, fleece PJs that kids wore back then, and they were so staticky. Like, it was painful. And imagine that and the dryness of the electric blanket, and it was kind of dangerous. So she didn't let me just freeze, and I usually took showers at night, so I had to learn as an older child to, in the winter, turn the the electric blanket on, then take my shower, and then pretty much just jump in the bed. Like, pajamas are no warm, fuzzy pajamas and slippers. When you're in a room that feels like it's, 0 degrees Fahrenheit inside, it's not fun. And so it was hard for me to function in that room and clean, and I wasn't taught to clean my own stuff. I was taught by my mom. Me and my brother were, when he was still home, we had to clean the house every Saturday for the whole house. Not the basement, though, except for our rooms. And my mom, for a while, she was in charge of the toilets. She didn't want us doing the toilets or the formal living room, because there's a lot of valuables and fragile stuff in there. But it was a ranch, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and we had to clean and scrub and vacuum and, I guess, dust, and even her room. And we did not do our own rooms, and we didn't learn. I can't speak for him, but at the time it was not a lot of energy. She tried to give us Snickers bars one time to see if we would do these chores. She would give us the Snickers bars. I think that only lasted for 1 pack. I remember she put them up in the closet, in the cabinet up above the double. We had the double, like, 70s green appliance oven. So let's think of a good memory, and let's get that to dissipate its energy. So let's think about fall and winter, because I had told you this morning, I didn't post a video yet, that I had the dream that these people were kind of on a cross between a airplane, gondola thingy for skiing, and a roller coaster. It was like a combo, and these 2 people kept, like, skiing in my dream in this forest, and I happened to be there, and a whole bunch of people. So I had that weird snowy thing going on. I've shared this. I'll share things before over and over, because I don't post all my videos. I had loved playing with my toy Corningware, and I had a little set of the sand toys. So I grew up on the lake, and they were, what is it, when you put the sand in and it falls through and then any rocks are caught. I feel like there must have been a bucket and a shovel or something. I'm trying to I know I had the sand thing. So I would gather that, and I would gather in like the fall when it rains and stuff. Because it's kind of like I never considered Michigan the Midwest until I moved away. And if people are like, where are you from? Like, Michigan, people are like, what? Where's that? Like, oh, you're from Detroit? No. So it's like, it's not the Midwest. It's kind of got clumped up into like a place where it's cold in the winter. So, and snowy and icy and sleety, and school's closing because the roads are bad. And they use salt and sand on the base near the airplanes. So I'd get my hands all dirty, and I'd go through our town, and our yard was all sand because we were close to so much water, and there was still grass and gardens and trees and stuff, but somehow it was so much sand, and it was a darker caramel colored sand instead of a white light ocean sand. And I would sit on this side of it. So the house was here, and the driveway's here, and the house is here. To me, this is my right facing the garage, and it was an inclined cement or concrete, whatever you call it. And I used to ride my bike up there, but I actually hurt myself when my cousin took me down the driveway, and I told him, stop, you're going too fast, and I fell out of the wagon, and I have the worst scar. That ruined my entire summer. I couldn't do anything. I could barely walk. I swear it went down to the bone, but I don't think it did. I think it was just like, it might have. I don't think it was the bone. I think it was connective tissue surrounding my left knee joint. Anyways, it was bad. I have a huge scar from this. Like, I just touched it and it hurts. But by myself, I was okay. I didn't. There's a garage right there. You can't go downhill fast and expect to not run into something, or have to stop abruptly or fall. You got to start slowing down halfway down the driveway. It wasn't that long of a driveway. But I used to play in the mud, play in the dirt, and it wasn't mud, it was like wet sand, and I used to put them in this pouring ware, and I'd try to make all these, whatever. I don't remember saying I'm making pie, because I didn't even really like pie. I was just trying to make stuff with these dishes, I guess mimic the grown-up, and that was such a fun time for me. And I remember being a little kid and your hands get colder, and you're just like, ooh, I guess it's time to go in. And there is some happy memories, because during certain times my mother would give me hot cocoa, and I specifically remember mint hot cocoa, and I appreciated her for that, because that is just cozy. We had the TV on all the time, just coming in. The house was fairly clean. I know we had like knickknacks on the counters and stuff. People thought that we were really sloppy, but until I saw myself in my room, that was nothing. A few papers and magazines on some shelves, and a kitchen table. We had a kitchen table and a dining room table that would have mail and junk on it. But that's, I mean, that can be life. I think about my one friend from Oregon who I hung out with before my partner, and I remember him decluttering his house. And unfortunately, I took a bunch of stuff to try to sell it, and then I'm not there to sell it, so I feel kind of bad. I actually thought my kids would want some of the Steam cards and stuff. But that motivates me. I don't have friends and family and mentors to say, hey, you have a little bit of time, let's go through some of this stuff and declutter, and you'll feel your house opening up, and you don't have to hide. If you want to hide from the bad guys and keep them out, make it nice inside. I had issues with my mother, and I feel like my mind guarded the house or my surroundings inside the house as a threat. So around my bed, my bedroom leading to my bedroom, it was an obstacle to get through. I used to trip and fall all the times my room was messy. My friend was really mean. Her mom and dad were super nice. And this girl, she hurt me a lot of times. That could be why I had my toe keep getting stuck together. She ran my toe with her heel one day and just crushed it. It probably got broken. At least I think it's affected me, because I remember that day. She was really mean. She used to beat me up and hurt me when I was a kid. But her house was spotless. Like, there was nothing out of place. It was perfect, dust-free, everything was in order. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Her parents worked full time. It's crazy how we have these different ways to live. And it was comfortable, and it was fun, and it was inviting. And she could invite people over and have us play, and they'd always make fun of me and get me trapped in the sleeping bag. This is supposed to be a happy story, and I would almost suffocate, because, like, say this open into the sleeping bag, we would all pounce each other and, like, walk around upside down, like, with our feet on the bottom, and then somehow they would end up knocking me over, and we'd all be having the air shut off, and it was terrifying, because people wouldn't get up, and you can't, like, open your arms and say, get off me. It's like you're like this. Oh, that was dangerous. God, I wonder I'm missing some brain cells. I couldn't drink much alcohol. I thought that was what did it. That's like that suffocating thing. And I used to arrive late to the party, to her summer parties, and they would all make fun of me because I was late. And I also came out from out of town. I didn't live in town like everybody else, but my mom was running late frequently, and it happens when you're unorganized. So I really want to help me and my partner, and then me and my kids to just declutter. And I need to declutter my finances and all this stuff. So the next story I'm going to do is when you have the snow. This never came to mind before. Let's see, what is going on? There's literally like a webinar going on. Is there like CEU on? Anyways, I don't need to CEU right now until after the second half of October. I just had this postcard, pretty picture of the house that's no longer there. It's an old wasn't that old. When we moved in, it was only a few years old. Brick house on the water above. It was the top level, then a level down, then another level. And we had that yard on this side was a little bit higher, closer to the house, compared to the end of the driveway. And then there, for most of I feel like at least half of my childhood, that end of the driveway was a dirt road. And then I think it was a sand road, then a gravel road. I don't even think it was a gravel. Maybe it was a gravel road, because I know I fell off my bike. I feel like it started as sand because it felt like they watered it to keep it from being dusty, and I'm like scared that maybe it wasn't just water, maybe it was oil or something. So I had my bike. I got my bike when I was little, but it was like a teenager sized bike, and so I couldn't ride it because I couldn't reach the pedals. And they tried to get these like extenders that were left over from my brother's childhood. So he was so much older than me, like 8 years older than me, and it didn't work. And his bike, he had like one of those big handlebar, like that kind of 70s or whatever bike. That had a flat tire. They could have easily changed it, but they didn't let me ride that. So I used to ride my tricycle, like just play around, and like, you know how kids can ride on the back in pristine condition. And you can like ride it like a skateboard with the handles, kind of, because you can't fit in the seat anymore. And I had that, and I remember just now a picture of a quiet town. We actually lived on the flight line, so it wasn't going to stay quiet long on an active military base. Like, literally, the planes went over our house, not our neighbors. It's still loud at their house, but not as loud, and they landed right across the F-41, if you want to look on the map. So we had that small road. It didn't end, but it did have a turnaround, and it actually got super small, and it went through to Loud Drive, or it's not Loud Drive, sorry. We were across the lake from Loud Drive, sorry. It was another street that had their own entrance from the main road as well, but they did connect, and that road went down, and it was pretty much what I thought was a family name. It was named after the family point. And there was other people that we'd see in those houses, and I never knew if there was people that actually lived there or they just came. People would come from down south for their summer homes, and they'd share them with people. Family and friends would come and stay in these houses and cabins on the water. And it was there was not that many houses on my street altogether, both of those roads. So I'm imagining this picture of snow on the ground. It's still clean, and you have that dark winter that can be depressing for adults, but it has that darkness over you that's clouds and pretty, and it snows and it's majestic, and you're going to have cardinals, and you're going to have the lake freezing up, and you're going to have the cars going by and making like slushy noises because they have the on the main road the salt to melt the snow or keep the snow from freezing. And you go to school, play in the snow, but I haven't really had that picture I was feeling. Like, I almost feel like my shoulders want to loosen up, like 46 years of tension. That cold, crisp air and being bundled up. I was so bundled, and my mom would yell at me and say, "You're sick because you didn't wear your hat. You're sick because I was cold. I didn't know I was wearing my hat. I had a hat. I had earmuffs. I had a turtleneck with a sweater and an undershirt underneath. I had the snow pants on, the bibs, and I had the big coat all fastened. I had 1 or 2 pairs of gloves on. And then I had leg warmers. I had wool socks or something, whatever they were. And then I'd wear 2 pairs of socks and a pair of moon boots. You don't try to tell me that I didn't bundle up. Like, I was cold. I have a lot of African descent in me. Like, it's like -7 degrees outside, plus some wind chill. The sun's not coming through. And then the other memory I have is everything was super clean, even though we had clutter in our area. And it was comfortable. It was really tight, the house. There wasn't a lot of critters coming in. I'd see like these wood cockroaches or something once in a while. It's only when they messed with the wood pile and moved everything around. And I saw them in the drawer, so there must have been some kind of way they get in the drawer with like the plastic wrap. It was creepy. But I only saw them twice like that. I barely saw little spiders and those daddy long legs So everything was clean. The toys were clean. Like, I had a problem when I was changing my life in 2003 and 4 where I was folding all the dirty laundry so I could take it to the laundromat or, to the machines. Like, no one has time for that. Like, we might as well just start washing in the sink if you have time to be folding up. But I did things backwards, and because I was hurt as a kid. This is me psychoanalyzing myself, which someone told me that's not a good idea. I personally love it for me. No one else is, right? I feel like I needed some kind of control. There was pressure to be thin, but I could control things, and I wasn't that good at, being thin when I was younger. Like, that didn't work. And look at the thing that backfired. When you mess up your metabolism, over-exercise, under-eat, then you eat salads every day and a little bit of fruit and nuts, and you're obese like me. I don't want to recommend anybody follow what other people do. People get paid more for different things and stuff, but we have to be real with each other. We don't have to be real with each other, but there's people that are real with each other that need to just show some, instead of showing dominance, showing some love. That's me, compassion. So everything was like so clean, and our toys were clean. And I did have the Barbies and stuff I used to play with upstairs, not much. I think I took them downstairs in the basement a lot, finished basement. The floor wasn't as warm and cozy as upstairs, though. It just felt like cement under with the shag carpet. The carpets were so old, so they just got more worn down, and they weren't soft. If there was a pad, it would have disintegrated. And I had some My Little Ponies that I loved. Kind of wish I still had. Oh boy. And there's one time I actually took the toys outside, and I think it could have been just 10 minutes of my life. But I went under this, I was going to call it a great white, but I'm making it up. It was great to me, this white pine. And my dad was always raking the pine needles, the long, skinny ones, to the base of the tree. So as 10, 20 years goes by, it just gets bigger and bigger. I had gone out with my toys. I didn't have any Barbie horses, but it was a little bit too big to ride ponies. But I was trying to organize something with the pine needles and the ponies and the Barbies. And it was so refreshing. It was something different, and I remember it. I spent a lot of time alone as a child playing. So watching TV all day, 7 days a week when I wasn't actually in school, was what I did. When I was home alone, I would talk to my friend on the phone or my other friends and do my homework. And my mom would call and check in on me. I don't want to badmouth my mom all the time because she was abusive, but she would check in on me because she was a teacher, and she'd stay too late, just like the roller rink job, but not till 2 in the morning, I don't think. She would definitely stay. She'd be the only one in the school except for the janitors, and I felt sorry for her. And I remember she'd come home and talk about these janitors and how nice they were. I think it was a married couple, heavy set, and they had a huge room. It was almost like its own classroom or something. It wasn't just like a broom closet with a little, coat rack or whatever somewhere in a bathroom. I think it was big. And she's like, oh, those people always eat dinner at work. They eat at that certain pizza place. They say it's so good, instead of Domino's, where my brother worked. And so he left town, so he was working there for a while. But she had ordered us a pizza from there to try it out, and I liked it. It had cornmeal on the bottom, and it was kind of bland, but it was different. The texture was fun for my mouth, and I actually had mimicked them with making pizzas for my kids by putting cornmeal. My theory was it would help you to get the kind of air, lift up the dough, and when it starts to harden, like air can get through, make it a tiny bit crispy but still doughy. That was my theory. I don't know if that's true or not. They do have the pans. We have the pan here that has the holes in it. It's not the clay block thingy. So that was a good memory. Some of the foods were good memories. I felt guilty all the time because my mom, or my friend, would get in the car with me and my mom was always working and rushing around. And her mom, for a lot of the years, was not working, but her mom wasn't home that much, but there was always food cooking. either her mom would start the food and she'd come home and finish it. Their rice cooker was going. There was meat and ribs and all this soul food. And my mom was at work all day, and then she'd go do stuff and do coaching and go to night jobs and weekend jobs. So we cooked when my dad was home, but that ended when I went into 6th grade. He worked out of town, far away, and it was a 7-hour drive or something ridiculous. So he didn't come home but like once or twice a month. So we just started eating leftovers and fast food and frozen pizzas. And my friend would be like, "Your car smells like McDonald's. Your car smells." You're always like, "What did you eat? Onion rings?" And we would go like to Burger King. And I loved. There's another good memory I'm gonna stop. I loved the. I think they still sell them, but they're not the same. Burger King has these sandwiches that aren't round. They're like this, and they have the fried chicken patty inside. The Italian, they had more than Italian, but that one I got if I could, like the chicken patty on the bun, and that's that nice soft fresh bread, and they put tomato sauce on it, and then cheese, I guess mozzarella, and melt it. Oh, and I just, oh my gosh, I'm about to like food relapse to some chicken patties right now. But that was another good memory, and I'm grateful for that. When my brother was around, the abuse towards me was not that bad because there's witnesses. When I was younger, there was witnesses. There was still the regular spankings, but the abusive beatings, you could put that in a category. But I will tell you that there was not a gray area when it became abusive beatings. There was not a gray area about the old-fashioned way of disciplining or teaching a child a lesson. It was no longer any kind of normal thing. And I don't think it's normal. I don't consider it normal. I told you before that my pastor scolded me for not spanking my kids, and they told me that I was the problem. Them and the people that called to ask for donation, Christian organization, were blaming me for being the problem of the world. But then everybody who watched my kids said, "Your kids are so smart and so polite and so nice and so gentle and so quiet." And they'd come up to me after they babysat my kids. They say, "They can come anytime, or at least like once or twice a month." You know, these people had like 2, 3, 4 kids themselves. They had a lot of stuff going on. Husband stuff and all their own jobs. And one of the ladies, at least one, said, "You know what, the pastor's wife got the ladies together and told them that you messed up your kids and that they were going to be brain damaged and all this stuff, and that it's your fault." And they said, "Oh my God, your kids are amazing." None of that is true. She told lies about you behind your back. And guess what? I kept going to that stupid church for 9 years. Because I heard my mother say that because she was a single mom, or her mom was a single mom, she had to go. Sorry, I'm going to start crying. She had to move schools and be the new girl all the time. And she was white passing for most of her life. And so she would stand out anyways. And people can get mad because of colorism, or think that you're favoritism, or say you're too dark, you're too light, you're too this, you're too that. And because I've had it, and I always considered myself black as black, because I was always getting sun. I hope I don't get skin cancer. Right? I have a bunch of suspicious moles that I haven't yet had anybody to pay attention to, especially being African descent. But she said there's one thing I didn't like was having to move and be the new girl all the time. It was so hard. And I kind of made an unpromised promise that I would allow my kids to stay in the same school all the way through. And they did. My daughter did, my son kind of did, and then they both went to Web Academy, which had a lot of in-person events that they needed to go to, but not a traditional. They had classrooms open every day, or Monday through Friday. They had classrooms open. But I didn't usually, it was far from home, so I didn't usually do that. So I did fulfill that promise, because I was heartbroken. I don't know what it's like to be the new girl, because I went from preschool at the military base all the way up to 12th grade, and I graduated, and then I went to Michigan State for 4 years, failed a class because I missed a test during my mom's and my stepmom's, or my mother-in-law's death, and then had to retake the class after being pregnant and nursing for 3 to 4 years in a row, retake a class to try to cover that, and then now my Michigan State says I didn't even graduate, so I got to figure that out, because if somebody looks something up and they don't have me down, and I know part of it could be because my name changed when they should have matched it up. My name changed from the married name, or sorry, the maiden name to the married name when I actually got the degree, so I need to contact them actually. I share some of this yucky stuff, even though I'm a professional. We're supposed to have it all together and keep that quiet. There's like people in recovery, they have recovery meetings just for like doctors and stuff. It's like they don't want to be out with their patients listening to their issues when they're supposed to be some kind of pillar. I share this stuff because I'm a real person and I have goals and dreams, and I struggle at getting these. And you see that I make a lot long videos and stuff. But I want to tell you guys that I get really scared, because I definitely don't tell a lot of gruesome details. Sometimes I want to, but I don't think I need to really have a trigger warning and have some sort of a, and I want to also put some domestic violence and different phone numbers on my videos. I need to learn how to do that. Suicide prevention, STD, STI, HIV prevention and education, because with being abused and being sexually assaulted and being around chaos, my dad was abusive as well, all of that will, for me, it makes it hard. Why do I feel like? It's 7:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. Supposed to select. When I watch real crime, when my boyfriend was working regular daytime, he'd come home and see me watch these real crime mysteries, and he'd say, "You need to stop watching that." And I know I've shared this a bunch of times. What's sad is watching these criminals get away with stuff, and watching these victims, and like hoping, like, please get saved, please tell somebody the truth, please will the police listen? And it's like, I want to reach through the TV and help that person. I wish I had adopted all those babies that got hurt and just had their lives distinguished as infants. How heartbreaking. I was like, I want to adopt them all, Let's set up little infant bunk beds, and I don't want to be the one to get in trouble for hoarding. I mean, there's people that become foster parents, like hoarding kids. This kid is in a dangerous situation. Does somebody want to be compassionate and loving and caring? Like, yes. Be careful what you wish for, guys. Me as orphanage. I don't like that name, orphanage. Me as children's home, I guess. It's rough because you're hurt. People are hurt. They don't know better. They do things that hurt other people because that's how they were. That's what world they were born into. And that's what world I was born into. But I have such empathy for victims. And I have, like, not a good ability to discern bad guys. And that's really dangerous. That's a really dangerous place to be in. I am get embarrassed sometimes when I can't sleep and I listen to the Sinister, this scary, what's the other one? This is monsters and stuff. When I'm falling asleep, then I'm not trying to watch it in the middle of the night or right at bedtime, and then it's like, it has this comfort. It's like the vibration that I used to watch Lisa A. Romano, if you want to watch more something about her talking about vibrations and abusive, whether it doesn't have to always be physical abuse that you have, and then I feel like you can attract more abusive people through your whole life, and it's like somehow you gotta break that and change it to something where you're attracting good. And I don't even know, like, I think figuratively, it's a comfort zone. It's a, hey, what do you do? Why are you getting in? It's not like you're getting into a worse relationship. My old counselor tried to say, why do you get yourself in these situations? Like, do you realize we're going through the trauma timeline? This stuff I'm talking about is from 20 years ago. You're telling me I don't know how to get unstuck from being around toxic people? And my mind's like, guess what? You're one of these toxic people. But I feel obligated because of the difficulty to find a healthcare provider who will actually even accept me as a patient. Whether you're charging me cash, insurance, a combination. I was desperate, and you get desperate and you put up and settle for things that are less than, or you go into a situation where you are at a level where this person can help you, but this person stays the same. They don't grow, they don't become wise, and you grow and become more wise, and then you outgrow somebody else, and there's this obligation to stick with them. But why is there an obligation? So for my life, I had to learn to prune things and to change it up, and I can fall into PTSD, depression, where with the memory that I have, remembering the faces of my parents, the words coming out of their mouth, the abuse 24/7, and it's the world I was birthed into. And if they're abusive like that, that's going to be when you're not even born yet, going to that 9 months of your mother's pregnancy, you're going to be exposed to any abuse, any beatings that are going on in the household, and the yelling. You're going to form, you want to be in there floating around, kicking, punching it. Somebody's lying on you while they're sleeping, you're kind of like, if you've been pregnant, you have to be pregnant to feel a baby kicking it. I'm like, ooh, what's going on? And it's like, maybe I shouldn't eat that spicy stuff. You put your hand on someone's belly, you can feel this swirl around their heads. But unfortunately, if your mother's being abused, then unfortunately, it's affecting you, and it's also affecting your sympathetic nervous system. And when your egg was in your mom's womb, in your ovaries specifically, while your grandmother was pregnant with your mom, any kind of, I was thinking catecholamines and different hormones and different stress responses. Those are put there for a reason, because we need to learn instincts. We're not just human, we got to read it in a book and go to kindergarten. We also have instincts that we unlearn, and then we had to still use them. Or not. But when we were more primitive, we needed to know. When the family starts running because there's something chasing you, better run, just like animals do when you watch on TV, or actually real life if you see it. It's like, you got to be like, hey, I recognize. And your body knows when you have a sympathetic nervous system response that you shunt the blood to your legs and to your eyes, and you stop digestion, because you need to run as fast as you can. You got to have all the oxygen going to your muscles so they don't cramp up and fail you. So there's a reason that we gain weight. So many of us are gaining weight while eating healthy and exercising. When I personally, last time I gained the most amount of weight, I was gaining muscle with some fat. The fat wasn't disappearing, but the muscle was growing, so I was getting heavier, and I was getting fat just pushing it out. It didn't convert it from fat to muscle, and that's what's scary. So this is a long video, and I wanted to see if there was any other. I kind of like to do like a spiritual message. I like to just let it come to my mind. I'm using the word tenacious lately, and keeping up with what you have to do, because I keep talking about the Panda photographer because I want more people to watch this channel to help support just a bunch of views can get him some money, get him some food, get him some a hostel so he can take a shower, make food, not just for a night, but like weeks. He needs some more work, and he needs people buying his artwork. I did a challenge, was about 3.5 weeks ago, where I said I'm going to work as hard as I can to get something to sell on eBay in that 24-hour period. I was going to at least give him $5 from my earnings. And I still haven't sold anything. It's been a month. It's been months since I sold anything. And I've been really depressed because I had to pay for that store. And I am asking for donations. But that was a challenge. And the challenge was to manifest and to attract money. And there was. And of course I'm doing my work and I'm sending in bills and they don't get paid. I'll get paid 10 to 20% of what I bill. And it'd be like you go to the store every day, to the local grocery store, and for some reason your cart ends up only 80% off every time, 90% off, and your store owner's wondering if it's happening. Why are we not making the payroll? Why aren't we making this work? Because you're getting paid less than the actual price of the product. Not even talking about the building and the taxes and the employee and the insurance and the retirement and all the other, if it's a franchise or whatever, it's not even counting the taxes and all that. It's just like, wow, they just keep walking out with this 90% off cart. And a normal person would say, we're not going to do it anymore. We're either going to shut the store down or everybody pays 100% with occasional coupon or whatever. Because this price is set so that we can stay open, so that we can provide a service. I mean, how many people will pay how much money to go to Chick-fil-A? It's none of my business. But how many of those same people will refuse to pay their payments for my clinic or for doula? And they'll just walk away, go get their fast food, their hair, their nails, their skin, and go on their vacation. And I see midwives that are community, I don't know what the community midwife, but professionals, out of hospital birth professionals saying that they're getting stiffed on the bill, and they have these different due dates and so many doulas, and then they see their patient texting them, oh, we're in around the world, we're in France, you can pay $1,000 for your whole family to go on vacation, but you couldn't even pay any of your bill. And it becomes like, I hate that. 9 months, 10 months of work and you don't get a penny. I mean, how could you even live with yourself if your doctor says, hey, I know you're struggling, you're eating out of dumpsters, you're eating out of food pantries. Sometimes I volunteered at the food pantry, and some of that stuff was not edible. Anyways, that's a whole nother story. And it wasn't their fault necessarily. It was stuff that was donated that should not have been, and they can't say anything about it. Some of it was fresh, but it was mostly pasta, like made for people. The pasta, the meat, and the vegetables. That was I guess it was tomato sauce, but the stuff donated from the stores, the produce. I never saw the food pantry. The food pantry got theirs from the food bank, and they actually paid for the food. I think they give you the cereal and the milk, maybe. I think you get, sometimes you get milk. But the stuff here, we went to Acme and I had sticky mushrooms. That's the kind of stuff I paid for, but because we were trying to be not needy. And we, right now, could be on food stamps, disability, unemployment insurance. We could be on every kind of service. Housing assistance. But we're not. Energy assistance. And I'm suffering. You hear me talking about credit cards. And you see a lot of successful people on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube getting checks, looking happy, getting nice clothes, having a nice house behind them. And you see some of us struggling, and that's another reason I make keep this channel on, because I'm inspired and I try to share other people's channels because I know they're getting paid where I try to get them to see more people. Nobody's really that I know of has done this for me, and I'm not asking for it in return, but it's kind of sad when you're doing that for dozens of people and trying to comment on theirs to try to boost the algorithm. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Watch to the end, even if it's on in the background, so you guys can do that. My only spiritual thing is we're not really guaranteed tomorrow, and we're not really knowing what's going to happen. There's a war going on in the world, and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a government looming, what's the date, 9/19, shut down in a few days, which I doubt, in my mind I doubt it's going to shut down, because those people don't want to sit up all night and, wait until they agree on something. They'll agree on something is what I meant, but I think they're not going to want to be sitting through their October not getting TSA, like, the TSA agents aren't getting paid. They're not nice. Some of these people are really not nice. They really target me. I try to be, it's that's a whole nother form of disparity, stereotype and racism. That's a whole nother thing going on there, but I'm going to go behind this medical table that's folded up right in the middle of the floor, and I'm going to go through this box I believe is empty, and hopefully it doesn't have a bunch of bugs in it. If it does, I'm like, I don't know, putting it in a trash bag and it's going out to the trash. I did find a bug in one of these boxes that had honey in, and the corn that they use is the styrofoam, which is really annoying. So I'm allergic to corn. I'm allergic to corn. This sucks. So if I had this Papadums from Awesome Foods, I will be making another video, which will be like the 5th. But I think I'm going to give my friend a call. I wanted to call my daughter, but I said to them saying, don't talk to us, we're tired. And I'm just going to have to let them be adults and step back. But sometimes I do that, and I feel like it's a bad idea. But I want people to be able to not keep memorizing when you feel beat down because of other people. We can all be hard on ourselves. We can all go to school. Maybe you don't get the best grades at the time, we're sick, sports, all that stuff. But when your own family is picking on you and trying to get you not to eat and not giving you adequate clothing, and then you go to college at 17 and find out you don't qualify for financial aid because your family is super wealthy, not super wealthy, but upper middle class, 6+ figure income per year. And it's sickening to know that you're eating paper and wearing shoes from 3 years ago when you see little kids growing so fast. People used to get mad because I'd get my kids shoes that were too big, but we couldn't afford shoes. And my daughter complained because I started doing it more and more, and she stopped growing. And I was like, oops, now I got you some good shoes, and they're a size too big, and they said your feet were messed up, and you're trying to work with these boots. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to make it right. So what can you do to make it right? What can you do to create sunshine around you by caring and being empathetic, by loving your children? If you don't have children, if you do, if they don't talk, people can have pets. I made pasta sauce today, raw, with the, too much salt though, because I had the sun-dried tomato sauce to have salt and stuff. And some fake cheese that was getting kind of old, that made out of cashews. I did find some with cashews though. So I'm going to enjoy doing my admin work, and I need to do a spiritual session with my partner because I went outside. He wasn't going to let me go to the post office alone, and this lady's just staring at me. She was older. She had blue eyes and blonde hair. And then she's looking at him and then looking back at me like... And I was already cranky because I was just like, I don't want to bog you down with my chores and errands. I just wanted to get out before the sunset. Raggedy Ann and Andy, the record that I have, I think it's a 45, or at least a small one, which my brother's, I think it got broken somehow. And The story is everybody on this planet had a mirror face. And usually if someone's sad, someone else had a smile would come and look at the sad person and then they'd have a smile. But everybody got sad all at the same time, and they radioed Raggedy Ann and Andy to come and save this town or this planet. The mayor or whatever said, please get here, it's an emergency. And so they had to go and get on their rocket ship and smile. And then if they saw this set of people, they smiled. And then when they turned to the next set of people, they smiled. And then the whole planet was now smiling. And then if someone got sad, hopefully like they were all, most of them were replenished enough to keep that smile. Smiles can be threatening in some societies, so. But to feel the smile, sometimes my breathing gets worse and my ear issue gets worse. But I have an ear issue, I have a knee issue, I have a back issue, I had the car accident that like intensified every single weak area of my body, got way worse. And every area of my body that wasn't bad already is bad now. And I'm alive to grumble about it. I'm alive to grumble about not being able to afford life or food, and wishing that we could go to the food pantry, or people did that gleaners. I hate when it's like you pay to buy really old stuff. Like, I should look and see if they have any here. You kind of want to do it on an actual farm, but it's going to need to be weeded right away. I might actually look that up. And then for you guys that watch my notary video, there is 2 things that I haven't done yet, so hopefully I can make a part 2 tomorrow, and that is National Notary Association, how much is their course that I'm going to take for general notary. I want to say it's $99, but I'm not sure. Actually, it should be cheaper than that, because that's a lot. And that would be for the state of Maryland, and then the new course for general notaries. And then I had another thing I was going to look up for notary. I can't remember what it was. Oh, what is the price? They increased the price. I thought I heard someone say it was up to $6 now per notarial act. So I'll look that stuff up because I need to know anyway. And I'm working on my tippet class renewal. And I do an ethics. I didn't get through the 3 hours today. So it's just a lot of reading. There are a little bit of diagrams, but it's not like videos. So it's not like multimedia or anything right now. There's nothing to listen to, and sometimes you do a class where you read it, you hear it, and then go through a video, listen to someone talk, and do hand gestures, and I'm like, can't I just read it and fast forward? But then when I read it and just move forward, then it's almost like I want somebody standing there. So think about that too. The grass is not always greener on the other side. And if you're impoverished and you're suffering and you feel crazy because you like to skateboard, or because you like to listen to heavy metal, or you like to listen to true crime, or you feel gratitude volunteering with geriatrics or preschoolers, and that you don't feel right, like me, you don't feel right smiling because abusive people hurt you more when you smiled, because they wanted you to be upset. That was their fuel. And then if you have narcissism on top of that, that's a whole nother type of fuel that I didn't even really tap in at all for this conversation. So it would be to just hang in there, count the blessings. The heart is beating, the lungs are breathing, and the brain is working. And sometimes all of those 3 things aren't working. But miracles can happen. But we can still say, if this roof falls on me and I die right now, I could say at least I had today. At least I could wake up and I woke up clean and sober, and if I hadn't, I have a chance to go. If counseling didn't work, if treatment's crazy, if doctors don't care, parents and relatives don't care, there's meetings. They don't have to be 12-step, but there's definitely something that can tie up your mind for hours at a time. 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. Sit on your hands during the meeting. Start to crochet if you fidget. I used to watch people play games on their phone in meetings, and I was like, are we allowed to do that? But I noticed I crochet, and I listen to people say, I don't want to call on you because you don't look like you're paying attention. Every day I see you in here crocheting. But, oh, God, I have untreated ADHD, and when I crochet, I listen to every word. When I don't, I go to a meeting without my crochet. I'm just like, you see me. I'm always, like, touching my face and, like, twitching. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, what is that grocery cart, or that grocery list? Look at that backpack was that we got 8.5 years ago. Like, oh, these people aren't nice. I'm like, huh? Oh. What's the topic? Oh, you read the daily meditation? I have no idea what. I didn't hear one word of it. But if I'm sitting there crocheting, it's kind of like Akila and the Bee when she's jump roping, and she's doing that rhythm thing. So she's got that body-mind connection. And in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think that also contributes to a spiritual connection. Because I almost feel like it's like, I want to say fusion. I almost feel like you take your mind stuff and your body stuff, kind of like dance. You can just let loose and just let your body like, and I feel like a science class where you put this thing and this thing, and it mixes and then it starts bubbling and gassing out. And I almost feel like that's releasing something that's helping the spiritual. You know what I mean? That's just, that just popped to mind. I always like to try to give you guys something that comes to mind spiritually like that. Enjoy your evening.